Hey, Facebook friends. We're going to talk about companion planting in our garden today. And I hope you have started a garden. If not, it's not too late for some things. And you can start even very small. You don't have to think about big areas to begin with. You can start just with a couple of pot plants. Like I'm on my balcony right now. You can plant a few things in pots and put them on your balcony to have fresh vegetables. But if you don't know me or haven't been to the channel before, I'm Iva. I've been retired for a good while, and I try to help people learn to balance their budgets and live better than you think you could on less money than you had before. So, but we're talking about companion planting in gardens, and I have a garden in someone else's yard that lives on a bottom floor where I live. I live in an apartment complex. She lets me use her garden, her yard, little small yard, for my garden, and it's all in pots. So you can make raised beds, you can plant in your soil, that without raised beds, you can plant in pots, or even some people put whatever you call them, flower pots that hang on your railing on your balcony, and you can plant things there, especially herbs. And I cook with a lot of herbs, so I always have herbs in my garden. And herbs, almost every one of them, repel pests. And so they're really good to have in your garden, and they're beautiful to look at. So you might want to think about that, even if you don't cook a lot with herbs. But the first thing we're going to talk about is tomatoes. In the area where I live, anyway, people love tomatoes, and so tomatoes really love basil, cilantro, and marigolds. Marigolds is a flower, but they tend to repel insects, or they also sometimes attract insects where they won't get on your edible plants. So you might want to think about that, because having flowers around in your garden just makes your garden look prettier and you enjoy it more. So think about that. And there are two kinds of tomato plants. There's a indeterminate tomato plant, and they grow pretty large and bushy, will grow until and bloom, put on tomatoes up until frost, all through the summer if you take good care of them. The determinate tomatoes are smaller and bushier, and they kind of make all of their tomatoes, and their tomatoes get ripe kind of all at once. So they're better for canning, because you can pick a lot of them, can a lot of jars of tomatoes. A lot of people where I live do this, and then you have them all winter, all summer. You have canned tomatoes that are healthy. They don't have toxins in them, and they haven't been sprayed with poisons or coated with anything. You have totally healthy tomatoes to eat, or put in soups and so forth. So they're great to raise. They're easy to raise, but you want good, healthy soil. And if you stay tuned till the end, I'm going to tell you the 4 main things that I think your soil needs to be healthy and grow really great plants and fruit and vegetables. So also I wanted to talk about hornworms. If you've never had hornworms, you don't want them. They will eat up your tomato plant. I don't care how large it is, like in one day. They are green with little white stripes on the sides, and they have a horn that sticks up on its tail. They won't hurt you, but they are kind of frightening looking, and so people don't like to touch them, but they won't hurt you. So you either want to relocate them, like to the woods somewhere, or places that there's not any gardens, or some people kill them. And if you want to kill them, you can mash them, which they're very hard to mash, or you can drop them in soapy water. So they will just destroy your plant though. So remember that. And then there is a tobacco worm that looks similar to it, but the tomato worm has a red horn on the back of it. The tobacco worm has a black horn, and it looks like a stinger or something. But the tomato worm has straight white lines on the sides, where the tobacco worm, I'm sorry, has kind of a V on the sides with the white. So, but they're distinguished from each other, but they both will destroy your tomato plants. So you want to plant basil, cilantro. Basil is really the best with them, and marigolds. If you plant basil with your tomatoes, it's best if you let them bloom, because the blooms attract pollinators to pollinate your tomatoes. So that's a good idea. But when your basil plants bloom, it makes the leaves a little more bitter. So if you want basil to use in your cooking and so forth, you have another pot for that and don't let it bloom. And I put basil in my scrambled eggs and many other things. But borage, it's a flower, and it's kind of blue blooming, has blue flowers, and it will protect your tomatoes from horn worms. So that's a good idea to have borage in your garden too. So, but basil repels the, I've got a few notes here. Let me remember what the name of that moth is. It's a 5-spotted hawk moth. And they are the ones that lay eggs in the soil that, when it hatches out, makes hornworms. So it's really a good idea to put basil in the pots or in the ground around your tomato plants. So because their scent is stronger than the tomato plant, so it attracts and sometimes repels those. Cowpeas or black-eyed peas, if you raise those, they put nitrogen back in your soil, which you need nitrogen for the strong plants and the leafy greens. It just puts more of all of that in your plant, and other plants take the nitrogen out, but cowpeas and black-eyed peas put nitrogen back in your soil, which is important. And we also here raise a lot of squash. People do. We all like squash, and they work well and pair well with most things. They pair well with radishes, peas, peppermint, parsley, dill, oregano, and most everything pairs well with marigolds and nasturtiums. Most people know what marigolds are, but nasturtiums are little flowers, about that big around, and they are little bit peppery tasting, and you can put those flowers and the leaves in your salads, and it just tops the salad off and makes it pretty. So those are really good to plant. And nasturtiums also, they repel vine borers, which vine borers will attack your squash many times, and they repel those, so it protects your squash. And squash are really susceptible to those in a lot of areas. The next thing that is probably the second favorite in our area, and that's cucumbers. And cucumbers love to climb their vines, and they pair well with, if you have enough of soil and your garden is large enough, they pair really well with big sunflowers and corn, because you won't have to stake them or put a fence up for them to grow on. They'll grow on the corn and the sunflowers. And the sunflowers, if you get the big kind, they're so beautiful. And then they attract the pollinators too. They attract all the birds that want to eat the seeds, and it really helps to get rid of pests then, because birds are really your friend in your garden. So those are really important. And beans of any kind are great companions. Like I said a while ago, they put nitrogen back in the soil, but most everybody likes some form of peas, and I usually plant field peas, and you can get the running kind or the bushy kind, but they also have now bushy types, and the peas are at the top of the plant. You don't have to get down underneath to pick them. They're at the top, and you just pick them from there, and it makes it much easier. So that's the kind I plant always now. And if you have the running beans, they have, people plant a lot of times what they call three sisters. And that's planting corn, beans that run, and squash. But the corn grows tall, so the beans can wrap around it and grow, and their vines have something to cling to. And then the squash are underneath, and they tend to keep the weeds down more. So that's a good idea if you have a large garden. So everywhere that all over my garden, no matter what size I've ever had, your nasturtiums and marigolds, if you plant them scattered out all over your garden, it's going to make it so beautiful. And both of them really, to me, they're the major things for its flowers that deter pests. And then I also wanted to mention alliums, which is garlic, every kind of onion, and chives, anything in that family. Then you want to plant them where they're not really close to most other plants, because most other plants don't like them. They just don't pair well. But they will deter, because they're so strong in their fragrance, will deter pests. And the four things I wanted to tell you at the end of the video is the main things you want in your soil is nitrogen. And nitrogen, as I said a while ago, it helps your plants to be greener and healthier looking. Then you want phosphorus, which helps with the blooms, for your plants to bloom more, to have more fruit and vegetables on it. And then you've got the potassium. Potassium is really important for the entire plant to be healthier. And the other thing that a lot of people don't recognize sometimes is they need calcium, and that makes your whole plant stronger. And I have found, for home remedies anyway, which I do a lot of things out of my kitchen for my garden, but calcium, if you will take your eggshells when you cook eggs, take your eggshells, put them in the front of your oven, so when you bake, it'll dry them out really well. Then put them in a blender, a blitzer, or anything like that, and blend it and mix it until it is a fine powder. Then you can mix it in the soil around your plants, and especially tomatoes like calcium. And you can put it in the soil, mix it up in the soil, and it will, the plants will absorb the calcium. Sometimes people hear about calcium and the eggshells, but if you just put those eggshells, you mash them up, put them in there, it will take years before they actually deteriorate. So if you make it into powder, it starts helping your plant faster, and your plants will be able to absorb the calcium. So anyway, that's what I had for today. I hope you learned something, and I'll be back next week and we'll talk about something else. And if you have any questions at all or anything that you want to know about, let me know in the comments, and I always answer any of your comments or questions. Then also, if you will subscribe, like, and comment, I would appreciate it. It would be really helpful. And I hope you have a great week and a blessed day. Thank you.